Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Mariah Carey. Back in 2010 at the Palm Springs International Film Festival, she won the award for her role in Precious. She played a social worker and was receiving the award for Breakthrough Actress. She tried to accept her award graciously, but that seemed difficult for her since she had one too many drinks. You could tell she was tipsy the minute she started talking, and the worst part was she was up there with the director of the movie, who just did not seem impressed at all. Mariah ended up apologizing in her speech, saying that it was all the splashes of champagne she had on an empty stomach. She did the best she could as she slurred her way through the speech. Rookie mistake though for drinking on an empty stomach. Like, that is rule number 1 in any drinking guide. Like, always eat, especially on one of the most important nights of your life. Moving on to number 9, we have Eminem. He has made a lot of headlines throughout his career, but this one was weird for everyone. In 2002, he made headlines that read, "Slim Shady fights a puppet." It was at the VMA Awards when the puppet, called Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, started making jokes at him about his feud with the techno artist Moby. Now, the man behind the puppet is comedy writer Robert Smigel, who was just doing his job insulting celebrities in a joking manner. But Eminem was not having the little skit, and he shoved the puppet out of his way, and then one of his friends grabbed Robert's notes and just tossed them into the air. Robert and his puppet were later asked about it during a press conference, and he said, "Try to be easy on Eminem. At the end of the day, he is just another white guy trying to make an honest living, stealing black people's music." Who knew a puppet could cause so much drama and make something that was supposed to be funny into something so serious? Although I can't even imagine Eminem tolerating some sort of insulting puppet. I just can't see him having the patience for that. Cruising into number 8, we have Natalie Portman. Throughout the years, many women in Hollywood have used award shows as an opportunity to call out the inequality within the industry between men and women. Oprah Winfrey did just that at the 2018 Golden Globe Awards, and many actresses have followed suit ever since then. So Natalie Portman thought she would do just that, but the timing for it didn't seem to be the best choice. Most people use their acceptance speech to talk about that, but she brought it up during the presentation of another award. She was on stage with director Ron Howard by her side, and it was their job to have a little conversation before announcing the winner for the Best Director category. Natalie used the opportunity to fake excitement over the fact that all the nominees in the category were men and not women. While her intentions were good, the timing was just super uncomfortable as the male director just awkwardly stood beside her and they presented the award to another male director. It was super awkward.
In at number 7, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was at the peak of her career when she was asked to perform on SNL, but the live performance did not go as planned and her statements had serious repercussions. O'Connor performed on SNL in October of 1992, but SNL was probably wishing that she didn't, because O'Connor ended the performance by holding up a picture of Pope John Paul II, ripping it up, and stating, quote, "Fight the real enemy," obviously offending millions of people in the process. The show quickly cut after they saw what happened, but the damage was already done, and tons of angry calls came in. One audience member even tried to assault O'Connor and had to be removed by security. Not only was O'Connor banned from SNL and most likely ever hosting anything again, her career never recovered. In at number 6, Angelina Jolie. This is easily Angelina Jolie's strangest moment, and I can't believe more people don't talk about how insane it was. Jolie showed up to the 2000 Academy Awards very excited for the night to come, because she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Girl Interrupted. But her time on the red carpet was a shock to everyone. She came with her brother James Haven, who she kissed on the mouth at the red carpet. Things were even stranger when she won the award and said during her speech,
"And I'm so in love with my brother right now." He just held me and said he loved me.
After the strange moment, nobody could figure out what even happened and if their relationship could potentially be romantic. Jolie later said nothing romantic happened between them, and their parents actually loved this display of affection, but it's very strange still. Halfway number 5, Kanye West. Everyone knows about this mess. Taylor Swift went up to the stage to accept her award for You Belong With Me at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. And before she could finish, Kanye West trashed the whole thing. He stole the mic and said to the crowd,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
Swift was mortified, and Beyonce could not believe what was happening. Kanye later admitted on Ellen that the incident gave him so much bad publicity, he left America and stayed in Japan, Rome, and even Hawaii to let things settle down. This event also started their decade-long feud that's still ongoing. In at number 4, Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam got in some hot water when they accepted an award and didn't really care. The band got a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance for Spin the Black Circle. The band seemed pretty shocked about the win. I guess they assumed that someone else was going to get the award instead. Eddie Vedder said on stage,
"Well, we just came to relax. I just wanted to watch the show."
Almost like they didn't want the hassle of coming up to accept the award. They also trashed the award show in general when they said,
"I don't know what this means. I don't think it means anything."
He finished off the lukewarm speech by saying, "Thanks, I guess," to the crowd. If I was a fan of this band, I would not have been happy about that.
Making their way into number 3 is Frank Capra. The Academy Awards is probably a time when you want to use last names when presenting an award, especially when you're using a common name like Frank. An incredibly awkward and embarrassing moment happened to Frank Capra in 1934 when he thought he had won an award that he actually didn't. Will Rogers presented the Best Director award by saying, "Come up and get it, Frank." Frank Capra was nominated for Lady for a Day and just assumed that he meant it was him who won the award, so he started walking towards the stage. But the award was actually for Frank Lloyd. Frank Capra actually talked about this moment in his memoir, describing the very painful moment of returning to his seat, and he called it the longest, saddest, most shattering walk of shame in his life. That is the ultimate walk of shame. There's no recovering from that. Up next, number 2, we have Taylor Swift. Don't worry, Frank, you are not the only one who thought an award was for them when it wasn't. Taylor Swift also got ahead of herself at the 2014 Grammy Awards. She was one of the nominees for the Best Album category, and her album Red was the center of attention, so she probably felt that she had a very good chance of winning. As Alicia Keys read out the winner, the name of the album began with an R, so Taylor and her team thought they won the award and immediately just started celebrating. It was super awkward because the camera captured them celebrating right away, but then they quickly realized that it actually was not her album at all, and they did not actually win the award. It just started with an R, and they got ahead of themselves. In our number 1 spot is Robert Opel. I don't think anything ruins a career as much as streaking does. That is right, this activist ran on stage naked in 1974 at the Oscar Awards. That takes some guts, to say the least. The Oscar host David Niven was on stage and he was trying to introduce someone, and people in the audience just randomly started screaming in shock. Robert ran on stage naked right behind David, flashing the peace sign. It was a moment that went down in history, but how David handled it was actually everyone's favorite part. After the streaking moment was over, David said to the crowd, "The only laugh that man will ever get in his life is by stripping off and showing his shortcomings." He deserves an award just for how he handled that situation.
Starting off this countdown, we have Paris Hilton. In 2008, Paris Hilton was banned from attending the Oscars. She thought her 1.1 rating film The Hottie and the Naughty was big enough to land her a seat at the award show. Sadly, it wasn't. According to a source, and I quote, Paris cried hot, salty tears when she was banned from the Oscars. She's desperate to be taken seriously as an actress and hoped she would be able to network with film executives. Another source revealed that Paris and a number of other women were banned from the Oscars to prevent the evening from turning into, and I quote, down-market scrum. Not scum, scrum. That's insane. But don't feel too bad for Paris, she still managed to sneak into the after parties. Coming in at number 9, we have Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson was another woman banned from the Oscars in an attempt to keep it more classy. The same source as I previously mentioned said Pamela Anderson was another woman they banned to prevent the evening turning into down-market scrum. Frankly, they are scrum for doing this. The source continued on saying, and I quote, they plan to focus on those people who have worked in the film industry for years, not people who are merely celebrities in other areas. In our 8th spot, we have Morgan Wallen. American country music singer Morgan Wallen was banned from the 2021 Billboard Music Awards after a leaked video surfaced showing him using a racial slur. He was banned despite receiving 6 nominations that year. The award show announced that they were banning Morgan, and I quote, "As his conduct does not align with our core values, we will not be including him on the show in any capacity." This isn't the first time he got banned from an award show though. On February 3rd, the Academy of Country Music announced that he was not going to participate in the 56th annual award show. They said, and I quote, "The Academy does not condone or support intolerance or behavior that doesn't align with our commitment and dedication to diversity and inclusion." So it looks like Morgan is banned from a couple of award shows, and who knows if he'll ever be invited back.
Next up at number 7, we have Bob Dylan. Let me start off by saying this was no way his fault and he had no control over the situation. It was just bad luck that it happened during his performance. His career was not destroyed, but his performance definitely was. And the person to blame for that is a man named Michael Portnoy. He was a New York-based performance artist who jumped on stage during Bob Dylan's performance at the 1998 Grammy Awards. The musician was performing Lovesick with his band, and Michael removed his shirt and ran up on stage and began dancing with the words "soy bomb" painted on his bare chest. He began dancing in this very strange, robotic, contorted manner with his eyes closed, and he later said he used the words on his chest because soy represents dense nutritional life and he wanted art to represent dance, transformation, explosive life. His words, not mine. He was on stage for a total of 35 seconds before being removed by security. Bob Dylan stayed professional though, and he just kept playing as if the man was not right next to him. So props to him, handled it like a champ, but yeah. The performance was definitely, not great. Rolling into spot number 6, we have Nicole Kidman. One of the best parts about award shows is the camera capturing the reactions of audience members. We love to see how people react to other winners or how the losers in the category react to the loss. But sometimes these cameras capture the strangest reactions, and Nicole Kidman's is one of them. It was in 2017 that she made weird headlines after going to the Oscars. The headlines were talking about her very strange clap, which they said looked like a seal clapping. As she sat in the audience next to her husband Keith Urban, she stood up from her chair and started clapping at those who were standing on stage receiving their awards. Bless her heart. That's a normal thing and a very kind thing, but when the camera panned to her and showed the world how she was clapping, it is all Twitter could talk about. Her fingers were pointed out to the side, like away from each other like this, and then when she was clapping, her hands didn't actually touch, so it looked like this. Nicole later said it was because she was wearing a huge ring that was not hers and she did not want to damage it. Halfway through our list at number 5, we have Winona Ryder. Speaking of weird reactions getting caught on camera, Winona is just another person who was caught acting a little bit strange. I can just imagine though what facial expressions like they would capture of me, so I'm in no position to judge. Her reaction was highly talked about at the 2017 SAG Awards. She had joined the cast of Stranger Things on stage to accept the award for outstanding performance by an ensemble in a drama series. When they all made their way to the stage, actor David Harbour was giving the speech and her reaction to it was hilarious. Her expressions went from confusion to disgust to fear to joy and then back to confusion. It was hard to focus on the man giving the speech because her roller coaster of emotions was just so much more fun to watch. Cruising into spot number 4, we have Marlon Brando. This one caused a huge controversy, so your opinion might differ from someone else's. At the 1973 Oscar Awards, apparently he wasn't interested in accepting the award for his movie The Godfather. So instead of him going up and accepting his award, he sent Sacheen Littlefeather, a 26-year-old Native American activist and aspiring actress. She didn't quite give an acceptance speech though, it was actually quite the opposite. She read excerpts from a letter that was prepared by Marlon rejecting the award because of the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry. As she was reading, the audience gave her mixed emotions, with some people booing and some people applauding. A lot of people were just very confused as to why he would reject an Oscars award, and if he was going to do that, then they said that he should be the one to do so. Let me know what you guys think about this, because I'm actually curious on, your opinion.
In our third spot, we have Ricky Gervais. If you watched the 2020 Golden Globes, then you know exactly why Ricky is on today's list. He took the opportunity as the host to make jokes about Hollywood. He called a number of people perverts and joked about serious scandals and issues in the industry. A lot of attendees were left completely shocked by his speech. And I guess so were the officials behind the Oscars. When it was time for the 93rd Academy Awards, Ricky was not invited. He poked fun at this by tweeting his speech from the Golden Globes and captioning it, "It's the Oscars tonight, I wasn't invited. Was this something I said?" Coming in at number 2, we have Marilyn Manson. Now this one isn't that shocking considering that the Antichrist superstar has done some pretty controversial things over the years. You know, like taking a broken beer bottle and cutting himself open on stage with it, or urinating on the crowd. That alone is why he doesn't get invited to award shows. But just recently, 5 women came forward saying Marilyn was abusive towards them. One of the women was his former partner, Evan Rachel Wood. Due to these allegations, his guest star appearances in a number of shows have been removed, like American Gods and Creepshow. So if they're removing his scenes in shows, there's no way they're inviting him to any award shows. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Kevin Spacey. Back in 2017, actor Anthony Rapp claimed that when he was 14, Spacey made a sexual advancement towards him. This empowered other victims to come forward. Over the years, a number of men have come forward claiming that Kevin Spacey tried to make advancements on them or that he has taken advantage of them. Kevin Spacey is now blacklisted from Hollywood and will not be attending any award shows anytime soon.
In spot number 10, we have Lady Gaga. The world will never forget the time that she showed up to the MTV VMA Awards wearing a meat dress. Yes, a dress, shoes, and a hat made out of real raw meat. She faced a ton of criticism for her wardrobe choice as many people, especially vegetarians and vegans, felt disrespected. Gaga talked about it after and explained that the meat dress was tied to her protest against the military's "don't ask, don't tell" policy and was meant to be a statement against the government restrictions placed on the rights of gay soldiers. She ensured that it was not meant to disrespect anyone fighting for animal rights. It was not the first time she's done something like that. She also wore a meat bikini on the cover of Vogue Japan to make a statement that she is not a piece of meat. PETA, a famously known animal activist company, released a statement saying there are more people who are upset by butchery than those who are impressed by it, referring to her dress. Obviously. Do you agree with that? Up next, number 9 is Johnny Depp. He exposed himself for being intoxicated at the Hollywood Film Awards in 2014, but I'm sure his plan wasn't to get caught. He shocked everyone when he gave a very weird slurred speech while presenting the award for the Mike Myers documentary Supermensch: The Legend of Shep Gordon. But he stumbled over his own words throughout his speech. He slurred, cussed, and said things you would never expect from someone who's giving out an award. From the minute he started talking, he was stumbling and he struggled with the microphone and said that it was the weirdest microphone he's ever seen in his life. Which is weird because it was a normal microphone and it's not his first time standing in front of one. Other celebrities and fans took his speech to Twitter saying that he should be embarrassed and that he came across as an arrogant drunk. Reports said that he had made his way to the bar before hitting the stage, which just confirmed what everyone had already figured out on their own. Obviously, either that or he snuck in a flask. I've done that.
In our 7th spot, we have Miley Cyrus. I don't know if you noticed, but Miley Cyrus was missing from the 2020 Grammy Awards. Now, some artists chose to skip the show for their own personal reasons, but it seems like Miley just wasn't invited. On Instagram, Cyrus posted a throwback clip of her performance from the 2013 MTV EMAs. She captioned the video, "And we wonder why I'm not invited to award shows anymore." In the video, we see Cyrus light up a joint on stage and take a couple of drags. Could this be why award shows aren't inviting her? Because of her past award show behavior? Seems like it. Miley's celebrity friends were quick to like her video and post encouraging comments like, "Don't ever change," and "I'd invite you first, TBH." Honestly, Miley's just a good time. Like, let's start a petition to get her unbanned. In our 6th spot, we have Kevin Hart. Back in 2019, Kevin Hart was scheduled to be the host for the 2019 Academy Awards. However, old homophobic tweets of his from 2009 and 2011 resurfaced online and he was immediately blasted. Just to give you an idea of how controversial his tweets were, one of them from 2011 said, and I quote, "Yo, if my son comes home and tries to play with my daughter's dollhouse, I'm going to break it over his head and say in my voice, stop, that's gay. To make matters worse, Hart even did stand-up routines talking about how he was scared that his son was going to be gay. Now, instead of apologizing and attempting to keep his role as the host, Kevin voluntarily stepped down and said he will not apologize for his past tweets. He said he's done apologizing for them. He said, and I quote, "There's no more conversation about it. I'm over that. I'm over the moment. I'm not giving no more explanation of who I am. I'm just done." I don't think Hart will be getting an invite in the future, but who knows. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Bill Cosby. In 2018, Bill Cosby was unwelcome at the Emmys. The Academy said that they are erasing his name from the Emmys website and removing his bust display. Now, they didn't say he was officially banned from the show, they just said that he's not welcome there, which basically means you're not invited. Don't come, don't show up, we don't want you here. This is due to the fact that Bill Cosby has taken advantage of a number of women throughout the years. In our 4th spot today, we have Tekashi 6ix9ine. In 2018, Nicki Minaj was invited to perform at the MTV VMAs. She was invited to sing her song Fifi, which was originally a Tekashi 6ix9ine song featuring Nicki Minaj, but later turned into a Nicki song featuring Tekashi 6ix9ine. But Nicki Minaj didn't want to perform the song without him, so she tried her best to swing it so that he attends the MTV VMAs with her. But sadly, he never got approved by the officials. Nicki ended up revealing on one episode of Queen Radio that, and I quote, "I don't want anyone to think for a second that I wouldn't invite him to perform his hit record. I want everyone to know my character. I wanted him to perform with me at the VMAs, and somewhere along the line he didn't get approved to perform by the powers that be."
Rolling to number 3 is Melissa McCarthy. This is another thing that I would be totally okay with if I got exposed for it. It's so fun. At the 2019 Golden Globes, the actress smuggled in 40 ham and cheese sandwiches and secretly handed them out to people throughout the night. Like, she literally packed a cooler with sandwiches and ice packs. It seems like her and Ellen were on the same page. It is often said that people at the awards show get hungry because dinner is served early and is before the televised program. That way they avoid any cutlery clinking sounds and whatnot during the actual broadcast. So they have to go the whole night without any food. But Melissa came up with her own idea that was cutlery free. She told Variety, "I've been handing them out to everyone. Next year I'm bringing hot dogs." The sandwiches were all plastic wrapped and came from a food market in Los Angeles. Melissa's husband later said online that they only went home with 2 sandwiches at the end of the night and that people loved them. Coming up next, number 2 is Jimmy Kimmel. You would never expect anyone to pull a prank at the Oscars, but if anyone was going to do it, it is Jimmy. Back in 2017, he pulled off an epic prank that took months to prepare for and set up, he says. The prank got mixed reviews as some people were not too impressed by it. He was hosting the award show and randomly brought a bus full of people into the Oscars. The tourists were told that they were going to see a gallery of celebrity dresses and gowns, not realizing that they were actually walking right into the Dolby Theater in the middle of the Oscars. It was super awkward to watch for a lot of people, but one man later went viral online. One of the tourists, named Gary from Chicago, had been released from jail 3 days prior after spending 20 years in jail. While some people enjoyed the prank, some people claimed that it was scripted, but Jimmy denied that and said that it was very much real. I just don't get it. What a random prank. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Cardi B. She exposed herself on this one when she decided to get into a fight at the 2018 New York Fashion Week party. It's not technically an award show, it was a Harper Bazaar Icons party, but this story is honestly just too good not to include. Video clips and pictures started going viral online after a fight started between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and ended with Cardi throwing her red heels at Nicki. Bodyguards were holding them back and it was pure chaos, not to mention very strange seeing them have this like petty altercation while wearing beautiful gowns and high heels. We later found out why they were fighting when Cardi posted about it on social media and said that Nicki brought up her parenting and that was when she lost it. Apparently Nicki made comments about her as a mother and things just happened to heat up when she confronted her about it at the party. Time and place, ladies, for an altercation. Time and place. In In spot number 9, we have Joe Jonas. He was hoping for a badass entrance instead of an embarrassing moment during his performance at the AMA Awards in 2007. What sucked the most was that his accident happened at the very beginning of the performance, so he just had to shake it off and continue. What happened was the performance started with 3 glass panels in front of each of the Jonas Brothers, and then they shattered in front of them before they made their entrance onto the stage. But Joe tripped as he crossed the threshold and fell to the ground and cut his hand on broken glass. He got up quickly and continued on with his performance despite visibly bleeding from the gash on the palm of his hand. When asked about it backstage, he just shrugged it off and said, "It is just a little blood. Look like you need stitches, bro, but that's alright." Moving on to number 8, we have Faith Hill. This incident had fans baffled at first because people were confused and shocked with her reaction at the Country Music Awards in 2006. The winner was announced for the Female Vocalist of the Year, and Faith Hill was one of the nominees amongst other singers, including Carrie Underwood. When their winner was announced, Carrie had won, and the camera showed Faith's reaction to her win, and she was angry. She screamed, "What?" and stormed away, and of course people reacted to her reaction. It looked like she was freaking out over the loss, but then she later came back and said that it was a joke. She said, "The idea that I would act disrespectful towards a fellow musician is unimaginable to me. Carrie is a talented and deserving female vocalist of the year." I don't get the joke. Why would you do that? It like ruined the moment because I was watching your reaction instead of Carrie's. Anyways, okay, funny joke, Faith. Sniping the number 7 spot is Kendall Jenner. She's known for her successful modeling career, so award shows might not be her specialty, but teleprompters are not always easy to follow sometimes. Trust me, I would know. I'm looking at one right now. At the 2014 Billboard Music Awards, she was called up on stage to present the band 5 Seconds of Summer. She started the introduction, which was going well, but the script seemed to throw her off. Her intro said, "The band about to rock the Billboard Awards comes from down under, but the direction they're heading is straight up." Apparently, this made her have the band One Direction in mind, so when she started welcoming the band on the stage, she started to announce One Direction. She ended up fumbling on her words and told the audience that she is the worst reader. A brief recorded intro segment gave her a little time to collect her thoughts, and then a spotlight returned on her and she finally introduced the right band. Halfway through at number 5 is Adriana Lima. It was at the 2019 MTV VMAs when she flopped during her speech to present an award. It was hard not to get excited when she came out to present with Super Bowl champion Victor Cruz, as both of them walked down the runway to the podium. But then things quickly got awkward when she yelled into the microphone, "What's up, New York?" Things went quiet very quickly because the VMAs took place at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. New York City is actually 12.5 miles away from there and is an entirely different state. Of course, viewers started poking fun at the model online, creating different memes and gifs to make fun of her mistake. Even Victor Cruz, who's standing next to her, quickly made a remark saying, "Personally, I'm from Paterson, New Jersey," which actually got the crowd very excited, so they started to cheer, so that helped them move on as smoothly as possible. Taking over the spot number 4 is Christine Laddie. The last place you want to be when winning an award is the bathroom. But that is exactly what happened to the actress at the Golden Globes in 1998. Everyone's worst nightmare came true for her when she had gone for a bathroom break just as they announced her award category. She won Best Actress in a Television Series for her role in Chicago Hope, but was in the bathroom when it was announced. She was able to run up on stage once it was announced, and the first thing she could think to say was, "I was in the bathroom, Mom." In 2017, she recalled this moment and said the first thing she thought of was that her mom was going to be disappointed. She said, "That was the first thing that occurred to me, that my mom would say, 'What the hell were you doing in the bathroom? Couldn't you have gone before?'" Honestly, that is such a mom thing to say. My mom would have been so mad at me, being like, "Really?" Or at least wait until your category is at least said and then you go after. I when you gotta go, you gotta go. Taking over the third spot is Sam Smith. His embarrassing fail was one big misunderstanding, but people didn't know that until after it had already happened. At the 2016 Oscars, he was accepting the award for Best Original Song, and during his speech he implied that he was the first openly gay man to win an Oscar. He said he was referring to a quote from Ian McKellen, but McKellen had been responding to a question about openly gay actors. So when Sam Smith was apparently quoting him, it sounded like he was saying that he was the first openly gay man to win an award. But people quickly said men like Elton John and many other people paved the way for him in the industry. Turns out though, that is not what Sam was trying to say, and he made sure to clear that up, but people were already judging him by that point, thinking that's what he meant. In our number 1 spot is Nicki Minaj. While she exposed herself at the same time, she was actually trying to expose Miley Cyrus when she called her out in front of everyone at the 2015 VMAs. Celebrity drama happens all the time, so that's no surprise, but to start an argument during the middle of an award show is really not the time or place. Miley was hosting the show and found herself in a scandal right in the middle of her hosting gig. Nicki was accepting the award for Best Hip Hop Video for Anaconda, and while giving her speech, she looked across the room to the other stage that Miley was on and said, "And now back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?" The whole room went silent immediately, and it was super uncomfortable to watch. Miley herself looked totally shocked, and she tried to quickly recover just by saying the media often twist their words. The two of them later worked it out off stage, but the award show was a hella awkward.
And at number 10, Ricky Gervais. Easily the most talked about on this list was Ricky Gervais's monologue, because it was clear he was intending to shock the audience with this speech. Gervais hosted the 2020 Golden Globe Awards at a time when so many celebrities were getting into hot water, and he didn't try to shy away from any of it. This 8-minute monologue took aim at the celebrities in the audience, and it was a delight to watch to the regular people around the world. During the speech, Gervais singled out Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, and the woke Hollywood. After giving the speech on a podcast, Gervais said he asked himself beforehand, quote, "Do I pander to the 200 egos in the room or to the 200 million people watching around the world? And there is no contest." One of the main criticisms of award shows these days is that they get too political, and Gervais addressed this head on in his speech. He told the celebrities in the audience, quote, "You're in no position to lecture the public about anything.
If you win, right? Come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and f*** off."
He then trashed the actors for being against harmful labor practices, but working for exploitative companies like Apple and Amazon. And at number 9, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson hosted the 2022 BAFTA Film Awards, and her opening monologue was pretty controversial, dropping the jaws of many of the attendees. Rebel Wilson took the opportunity to announce that she was the next James Bond and to reveal a Daniel Craig tattoo live on stage. After announcing her role as the next Bond, she said,
"And because of the gender pay gap, I actually won't be called 007, I'll be 004.5.
During her speech, Rebel also addressed her dramatic weight loss, donning a sparkling red gown and saying, quote, "I might look a bit different from the last time you saw me here." Then adding, quote, "I hope JK Rowling still approves." Then continuing, "Guys, seriously, I didn't lose weight just for a guy, I did it to get more acting roles. I'm now so excited I can play the non-funny love interest in an Adam Sandler movie." She finished off the monologue by saying, quote, "In all sign languages, this is the gesture for Putin," before raising her middle finger. And at number 8, Michael Moore. After Moore won the award for his documentary Bowling for Columbine at the 2003 Oscars, he came on stage and gave one of the most hated acceptance speeches of all time. Accepting his award, Moore slammed then President George W. Bush.
"We like nonfiction and we live in fictitious times. We live in a time where we have fictitious election results, where we have a man sending us to war for fictitious reasons."
But it seemed the audience was not on board with his messaging, and he was actually getting booed loudly during the speech. Moore later said about the speech, quote, "As soon as I said fictitious times and the fictitious election results, there was a ton of sound, primarily boos. I could barely hear myself speak. It was like I had ignited a riot."
"We are against this war, Mr. Bush. Shame on you, Mr. Bush. Shame on you."
Sniping our number 7 spot is Beyonce. She's definitely not to blame for this one, as we all know accidents can happen during a live performance. Malfunctions happen all the time, and hers just so happened at the MTV European Music Awards back in 2003. What is an artist supposed to do when their backtrack starts going crazy? It was during her performance of Baby Boy when her backtrack started skipping and kept repeating one line over and over again. The line was, "Baby boy, you are so damn fine." At first, she kept her performance going while trying to sing over the soundtrack, but eventually she just gave up. As it clearly was not going in her favor. She ended up just waving to the audience and walking off stage. I would have done the same. I mean, when your track is skipping, no one's gonna hear what you're singing at that point. Rolling into number 6 is Miguel. I don't think I've ever heard of an award show performance ending as a lawsuit, but that is what happened back in 2013 at the Billboard Music Awards. Miguel was performing and went to jump off the stage onto another platform, but he accidentally landed on a woman's face who was standing in the crowd. He actually landed on 2 people in the video, but one person very visibly took the brunt of the fall. Of course, it was not intentional, but the fans sued him afterwards because she was injured. 2 years later, in 2015, he was facing a lawsuit for negligence. The lawsuit claimed that the victim faced injuries, medical expenses, loss of wages, possible future medical expenses, loss of personal property, and loss of enjoyment of life. The lawsuit was worth $10,000, but there has not been any articles since 2015 stating whatever happened in the end. I really did try to find it. Miguel was very apologetic for the accident and also incredibly embarrassed. I wonder if he paid. He probably just paid. I was like, take your money, sorry about your face. Goodbye. Halfway through our list at number 5 is the Pussycat Dolls. It's hard to imagine them having a bad performance because they are always on point with their vocals and choreography. But one performance stands out more than the rest, and that's because it did not go as planned. It was at the 2006 AMAs when they had a very strange performance of their song Buttons. At one point, one of the chairs they had in the choreography fell over halfway through the performance. But the more bizarre part was when one of the dolls showed up on stage with only 40 seconds left in the song, and then from there, things just got weird very fast. She came into the song and started singing over Nicole, the lead singer, in this off-pitch, very high tune, while the other girls just continued their choreography, which she wasn't a part of because she's late and showed up with 40 seconds left. Honestly, I watched the clip, I've never seen it before, and it was the most awkward performance I've ever seen. People watching at home were obviously very confused and wondered why she even showed up to the performance with only 40 seconds left. Just let them continue their choreography and song. They were killing it. It was so weird, so weird. In spot number 4, we have J-Lo. She exposed herself during one of her performances, but it definitely was not planned. Back in 2009, she took a fall during her performance at the AMAs while she was attempting this little mini stunt. Her choreography had her climb up the other dancers as human stairs, and then when she reached the top, she jumped off really high into the air, not expecting to land on her butt. The good news is J-Lo is a pro and she shook it off like it didn't even happen. She jumped up immediately after falling down and she was able to finish her performance, which was a knockout, by the way. It looked painful, not gonna lie, but it was a quick mishap that she handled like a champ.
And at number 3, Sam Smith. Things got a bit awkward when Sam Smith was a bit too self-congratulatory and claimed they were the first openly gay person to win an award when they won the 2016 Academy Award for Best Original Song for their James Bond theme, The Writings on the Wall.
I read an article a few months ago by Sir Ian McKellen, and he said that no openly gay man had ever won an Oscar. I want to dedicate this to the LGBT community all around the world.
Many thought it was crazy that Smith wouldn't have known that legendary singers like Elton John had won the award before them. Smith was later called out for this mistake and later apologized, blaming the mistake on drinks they had beforehand. In at number 2, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a very private person and he pretty rarely is outspoken about his personal beliefs. But during one accepted speech he went off the rails and offended many people watching at home. Taking the stage at the 2018 Tony Awards, he couldn't help but talk about the controversial US President Donald Trump.
I'm gonna say one thing, Trump. It's no longer down with Trump, it's Trump.
Many in the crowd cheered on this speech, but many Americans watching at home did not like how De Niro blasted the president to the entire world. This was not a huge shock to De Niro fans, as he said in the past about how awful that he thinks Trump is. It's also been reported that Trump and De Niro have only met once, so people are not sure how he was able to form such a bad opinion so fast. And finally, number 1, Seth MacFarlane. I don't think there's any way that a monologue by comedian Seth MacFarlane would not be controversial, but his 2013 speech at the Oscars took the cake. The comedian was asked to host the Academy Awards, a pretty shocking decision since this is the man responsible for Family Guy. He also likes to sing, so his monologue was a song in part. The song he performed was called, quote, "We Saw Your Boobs," and named plenty of women in the audience that had been nude for a role before, mentioning everyone from Meryl Streep to Naomi Watts. He had a choir of men singing with him about how happy they were to have seen all of their breasts. Very gross. Charlize Theron probably had the worst reaction, hiding her face in her hands when the camera panned to her. This was the tip of the iceberg. He also shared how women would give themselves the flu to prep for roles, and also made a joke about the Chris Brown and Rihanna incident. I'm sure the Oscars learned their lesson after that one.